Okay, thank you. So yeah, it's a bit different to what I normally do, so bear with me. But yeah, thank you, Samfo. My name's Danny, and I work for West Yorkshire Police on what's called the Bradford District Cyber Team, and it's our job to educate children in Key Stage 2, so from 7 years old to 11 years old on online safety. And then we also do the parent sessions as well. So I've brought the parent presentation for us to do today. So we will get sorted out on that, get started. Jeff? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, the aims of today's session are just to understand what cyber is, the internet, understand what's out there as parents and carers for your children to be aware of, further develop your own cyber safety and cyber security, and then just understand a couple of what we call laws and punishments just around the online world, and if our children are doing certain things online, what sort of laws can be broken out there so to protect them from doing that. So the first thing we like to show is a video. Hopefully it will play and the sound will work as well, we will see. This video is just trying to represent what we would allow our children to do online versus in real life and how that would work.
Schmidt, Peters, Jansen, Hermanns. Is your son home?
Yes, he's up in his room. Come in.
Hi, is Klausy here?
Yeah, upstairs.
Well then, we'll go up and try out some kinky stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Cool location.
Where's Klaus?
There.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Is this little Anna? You've got a nice bunny. Come on, I'll show you a real bunny.
In real life, you would protect your children. So why not protect them on the internet?
Okay, so for some reason when we're at home, parents and carers sometimes will let their children up in their bedrooms, behind closed doors, having access to any form of material on the internet and on social media. And all them things there to represent online gaming, adult content, and your sort of stereotypical child groomer. If any of them people came to our doors, we would be phoning the police, wouldn't we? We wouldn't be saying, yeah, up to our child's bedroom. But for some reason, we will allow them tablets, games consoles, mobile phones, and all of them things are very, very easily accessible. So it's all about, in primary school, technology should be in communal areas. We shouldn't be having PlayStations, Xboxes tucked up away in bedrooms. It should all be in really communal areas so we can see what our children are doing and making sure they are safe. So, next one, we'll just talk a little bit about what cyber is, how we can prevent the basics. Is it working on there? Okay, so is anybody nomophobic? Does anybody know what that means? No? Has anybody ever had a fear without being a mobile phone? Yeah? So nomophobia is a fear of being without mobile phone contact. We create our own addiction, and that is a fear of technology, an addiction of technology. So in schools they may talk about drug and alcohol addiction. But technology addiction is going to be a big thing for young people going up because they're spending too much time on the technology.
My question really is with respect to age limits or age restrictions on things.
Mm-hmm.
Who is responsible for that? Is it the actual providers? I know that I think on YouTube or on Google, the age limit is 13. I think Instagram might be 13 as well. And I wonder, aren't those ages too low? Where do you go to raise such concerns? Who's responsible for setting those age limits?
Yeah, okay, no worries. So each individual company or social media provider will set an age limit or minimum age on to use the app, and then that's their responsibility over really. That then goes to parents and carers to really monitor and make sure that their children are only accessing appropriate content. Unfortunately, it's really difficult if your son or daughter comes home and says 30 other people in class are using Snapchat, why can't I use Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok? And that's why my son really doesn't like me sometimes, because I think he's one of the only people in his class that doesn't have TikTok. But that's just tough. That's me, my parenting style. What I say goes, and I don't think it's appropriate for him. And if it's not appropriate, but yeah, as soon as that app maker says 13, 16, 18, that's their responsibility over. And then if you allow your children at 10, 11 years old to be on Snapchat, Instagram and TikTok, and something happens on there, safeguarding concern, then it's down to the parent or carer really. But it's very, very difficult as a parent or carer if everybody else has got a certain app or technology, isn't it, to have them rules and regulations in the home within that. But yeah, thank you very much. Really good question. Yeah.
The government in this country as well has currently passed. Have we all heard of like the laws and the bills which go through Parliament? Yeah. There's one being passed through Parliament. In fact, it was last year, so it's been out there 12 months. It's been passed, and that will be implemented very soon. This will regulate how these big app companies actually operate, and it'll give the government, the Office of Communications, the official body that deal with things like this, the power to actually impose fines on these companies if they don't regulate it better. That is to say, if a young person creates an account on a certain app, are they of the age they say they are? Are they just kidding? Are they just lying? Or putting an age where it gives them the appearance of, I'm a bit older than what I am really, and I shouldn't be doing it. So Ofcom will be able to fine these companies massive amounts of money. And when I'm talking massive amounts of money, I'm talking millions. Or a big chunk of their annual turnover which they're raking here.
Cheers, Jeff. Thank
Carry
you.
on, Don.
Yeah, cheers, thank you. Oh, okay, we've got it back up. We'll give it a go. When we talked about technology addiction, that's a really big thing. And it's not just children. You might not be able to see the picture too clearly, but a woman actually fell out of a car on the motorway while trying to video herself driving a car. Luckily she survived, but yeah, so it's not just children that can do silly things online, it is adults and parents and carers as well. So the next one is called the phantom syndrome or ringxiety. And what that is, I don't know if anybody's ever had the phone on vibrate in the pocket. They felt it vibrate, they've looked at it and there's nothing there. Yeah, that's called the phantom syndrome or ringxiety that's out there. These are things that you can be diagnosed with by the doctor. Now, I don't know if you can get a sick note for work or church if you're feeling a little bit tired in the morning, but you might be able to try it out. I'm not sure Sanford will be very happy with me saying that though. So the next one, we just press the next slide for us, Jeff. Cheers. So some of the things that we'll talk about today really quickly, because we've got to save some time a little bit now, but chat rooms, how your children are communicating with people online gaming, how that can be an issue, social media, messaging, mobile phones, video calling, live streaming. I'll show you some sexualized language that children might be using to try and trick you guys into what they're actually talking about. And then some emojis as well. You might see children using emojis these days, but some emojis can have a sexualized meaning. Okay? Next one, Jeff. Cheers, Brit. Yeah, it is at the yearly COVID briefing. So these are some of the emojis. You might not be able to see them very well from where you are sat, but I can email Sanfo with some Word documents and maybe you can print it out or send to people via email, not a problem. But these are some of the emojis out there that have a hidden meaning for male genitalia, female genitalia, and sexual acts, things like that. Yes, Jeff? And then the next one, when I was younger, we used to use text talk or shortened language when we were talking to people on the internet. So down the left-hand side, about halfway, there's pal, paw, purr and pause. They're the parents' ones. So let's say you do allow them to use online gaming, but only if you can hear what's being said. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you walk past or you walk into the room and they go, pal, 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 or purr, purr, purr. And you're thinking, purr? Didn't they stop being a cat or a dog at 2-year-old? Well, potentially they could be referring to somebody on the mic that the parents have just walked in the room or the parents are over the shoulder. Yeah, and that's letting the person that they're talking to online know that their parents in the room now, so they need to not talk about inappropriate context. Okay. There's loads of different ones on there. Like I say, I can't go through them all just yet, but I will send a screenshot to Sanfo and get them sent out to you out there. So if you're not too sure what your kids are talking about or certain references, just Google it and have a little look, see what that might be referring to. Cheers, Jeff. So unfortunately, I don't know if you do anything on drugs and alcohol in church. A little bit, yeah. So we've got something called county lines. I don't know if anybody's watched Police Interceptors. Yeah, you might have heard it on there. Unfortunately, people that deal drugs in local areas will target young, vulnerable children to do that for them. Okay, so if you hear changes in their behaviour, all of a sudden they've asked for a new mobile phone or some trainers or some jewellery and you can't quite afford it, and then they're walking in the door in new trainers, new jewellery, new mobile phones. Where are they getting this from? Potentially they could be getting it from drug dealers, criminals in the local area that are giving them gifts for them to sell drugs and things like that. So the emojis that are on the screen, they're some of the emojis for drugs. Then you have the terminology down the side there as well. If your kids are at home, they're not going to be saying to the mates on phone, oh, we're going to go sell some heroin or cannabis tonight, are they? They're not going to be saying that in front of you because you would know what that is. But they might be talking about the White Lady, Springs, Hazel, Bud, Baseball, Yayo, Doc, things like these. Slang words that they are using to talk about drugs in front of you, and you might not know what they are. Cheers, Jeff. So what do we think these are that are coming up on the screen shortly? Do we think that these are sweets or drinks? Does anybody want to have a guess at what they might be? Has anybody heard of cannabis edibles? Yeah? Cannabis edibles are becoming quite popular. They're being sold in schools, on TikTok, Snapchat, social media, and a young child might just think that that's a bag of Haribo. Yeah, normal sweets outside of schools, things like that. But these are what we call cannabis edibles, and they're really, really nasty. If you have a bag of these, just one bag of sweets, it's about 50 cannabis joints. Yeah, and to have that as your first experience or any experience of a drug would be pretty unpleasant. The likelihood of it causing death is very, very slim, but it would not be a very nice experience. On the next slide, Jeff, we've had, this was just before Christmas, so it's a little bit out of date, but there was 10 young people in West Yorkshire hospitalised due to taking cannabis edibles. Okay, so it is really important you're aware of it. My son's 10, is in year 5, going into year 6, and I've shown him the cannabis edible stuff on the slide, just for him to be aware of. If he's walking home from school and somebody's offering him some sweets, I like to think he won't just take sweets off a random stranger anyway, but you never know. But things like this, it's you as a parent or carer, you know when you are ready to talk to your kids about these sorts of things. Cheers, Jeff. So yeah, the cost around £5 to £15. So if you're giving them some spending money, and all of a sudden the next day they're saying, can I have another £5? And you said, well, I give you £10 yesterday. What have you been spending all your money on? Potentially, they could be spending it on things like this. So they are available in towns and social media and things like that. So yeah, that's what they're selling them for. Cheers, Jeff. So right at the start, I normally go through a little bit of a quiz with parents and carers, but I didn't think it'd really work as it normally does today. So on the board now, these are some of the most dangerous apps that we come across within social media that's out there. So you may have heard of TikTok, Telegram, Omegle. So I don't know if anybody uses WhatsApp. So Telegram is a version like WhatsApp, but it's a little bit more encrypted. So it's a lot more difficult to get messages back off there. So we have a lot of radicalisation for terrorism activities, things like that, using Telegram. So if your kids have got that on the phone, why have they got that on there. Unico Live in the bottom left there, that looks quite child friendly. So the issue that you've got is some of these apps will be 7+, 8+, okay? Because they look quite child friendly, you might say, yeah, okay, that's fine, you can download it, but do a little bit of research on it, because that's a very dangerous app. Any app online that can be talking to hundreds or thousands of strangers, and it only takes one to be a bad one that's on there. Apex Legends, I don't know if anybody's heard of Fortnite before on gaming. It's just a game where you basically, it's the last man standing, where you kill characters in last man standing. That's a different version of that. Twitch, some of the children might be playing on Twitch where they're streaming gaming, because they can be gifted money on there. On Twitch you can get followers, subscribers, and be gifted money. So that can be quite a popular app on there. Within itself, not too dangerous, but if they're streaming gaming, who are they talking to on that game? Cool, Jeff, next one please, mate. Cheers. So I'm sure you've all heard of TikTok, yeah? Unfortunately, we had a young girl that was 8 that had a bit of a serious safeguarding incident on TikTok. This was taken screenshots from her live stream that she did. Now, her mum thought she had a private account, but there's no such thing as a private account online on social media. She had a live stream, and it didn't take long for that to be shared hundreds of times, thousands of times, and then, unfortunately, she had some really bad strangers leaving her messages. And we've blurred out the names and some of the messages because it wouldn't be appropriate to show you that. But unfortunately, I'm sure you can read them and think about what they're talking about. If she ever can she be played with? Can she be hired for £100 an hour? And that's an 8-year-old girl on TikTok. Yeah, one of the most vile apps out there. If your children are on it, get them off it. It's horrible. It's horrendous. Okay. So these are just the things that they're talking about. Because I talk to kids in school all the time, and they say to me, Danny, I've got a private account. And I said, there's no such thing as a private account. And then we have a bit of a discussion rather than a disagreement. And they say to me, well, I do. And I say, well, I tell you what, me and you are best friends. If you sent me a picture on TikTok that were inappropriate, that's okay, because it's just me and you that see it. And she goes, oh, yeah, that's fine. I said, well, what if me and you fall out the next day? What am I going to do with that video? Well, you're going to share it. Well, how can I do that if it's a private account? Because you've got access to it. There's no such thing as a private account online anymore, unfortunately. That video could be shared and things like that on there. So that's just one of the things I thought I'd put in for TikTok for you. Cheers, Jeff. So TikTok is one of the most evasive apps out there. It copies and scans everything that you do, every swipe, every follow, every like. If you start typing a message, you don't have to send it. It can copy that and record that within there. So the issue with TikTok is I wouldn't have to necessarily like or follow a post. So if a young girl or boy had put something inappropriate on TikTok and I watched that video, if I liked it, then people might think, oh, Danny's a bit of a weirdo. But what I would do is if I just watched the whole video, I didn't like it, I didn't follow that person, but then I scrolled through the story to find another picture or inappropriate video of a child and watched that whole video, the next time I went on TikTok, there'd be a lot more videos of an inappropriate nature, because that might think, oh, well, Danny likes that, so I'll show him more than videos. So if your children are watching sexually provocative dancing on TikTok, because that's what a lot of it is, a lot of twerking, things like that, next time they go on TikTok, there'll be a lot of that out there. And especially young girls, if they think, oh, well, that gets people followers, that gets people likes, that gets people famous and making money, that's how I'm going to portray myself. And we've got a lot of young girls and boys portraying themselves in not a very good light because of things that they see on TikTok. Cheers, Jeff. So just some online stats. So 1 in 25 primary age school children have been sent an indecent image. And when we talk about indecent images, I use the terms parts of your body covered by your underwear in schools, and I'll do that here as well. I think that's okay to respectful, rather than going to body part term names. 1 in 5 children are bullied online, and 22% of children are victims of online bullying have had suicidal thoughts or attempted suicide. So we talk to year 5 and 6 in schools about this, just to bring up awareness about what bullying is and what to do if it's happening, rather than being to that point where you don't have anybody to talk to and then thinking about potentially taking your own life. And in Bradford, we've had incidents as young as 4 years old posting images of themselves naked online. Obviously that 4-year-old doesn't know what they were doing, but they went onto the mum's phone, went onto TikTok and did a live stream video while dancing around the room naked, and then posted it onto TikTok. Yeah, because I sure you imagine your children or grandchildren know how to go through an iPad and go on apps and games and stuff at 2-3 years old. They are quite advanced now for their age. You will see a lot of children in push chairs just to keep them quiet around a shopping centre with a mobile phone shoved in front of their face. That starts that technology addiction. Yeah. Cheers, Jeff. So these are just a few kids. So when we first started in the TNA, they had a post to say Bradford has created this new cyber team to combat internet safety within schools. And there were some comments in there to say that we were a waste of money. We should have been out there catching real criminals, things like that. Nobody's ever died from being called a mean comment, which is unfortunately, it's not true, is it really, unfortunately, okay? So all these people here have been a victim of online bullying and unfortunately did end their own lives, all of primary school or just secondary school age, all right? The youngest I've been involved with is 8 years old, okay? So it's just no age, is it? Cheers, Jeff. Next one. So these are some bullying slang terms, again, which I'll send to Sanfo and get you guys sent out. They're not going to be calling each other derogatory names in front of you, because I'm sure you would stamp that out. They might call somebody butters, a loser, cyber pretty online, what's else there. These are sort of the terminology that they might use there for calling somebody ugly or fat or skinny or things like that. Different terminology. Cheers, Jeff. Can anybody see the internet on that slide? Does anybody know why I'd represent the internet as an iceberg? Does anybody know what the different parts of the internet are called? No? So you've got the normal internet, which we all use, all of us. Then you've got the deep web, which you might use if you go like online banking, internet banking, things like that. And then hopefully nobody would go onto the dark web in the room. It's not illegal to do, okay, but pretty much on everything on there is, yeah, you can buy a hitman, you can buy children on there. So if anybody wants to buy anything, drugs, alcohol, weapons, you can buy pretty much everything on the dark web. It's not a very nice place to be. Unfortunately, a lot of YouTubers talk about the dark web because you can do all sorts of stuff on there. So kids might see that and think, oh, what is it? Yeah, how do I get on there? So to get onto the dark web, we don't tell the children this in schools because then they would then search for the dark web online. So we just do this in as parent sessions. But you need something called a Tor. It's called the Onion Router or a Tor. And you need to download that to gain access then to the dark web. So an online groomer might start on social media or online gaming and then say to that child, download this Tor, don't tell your parents and carers, and then all the conversations we will then have within this app on the dark web, and then you guys would be none the wiser really to it. Cheers, Jeff. So this is one of the websites that was taken down called Nightmare. A little bit like eBay. Apart from that, you'd buy all your Class A drugs, illegal drugs on there. And a lot of things would be purchased via like crypto, Bitcoin, things like that. A lot harder to trace the transactions. Cheers, Jeff. So when I talk to kids in schools and I ask to them, when you take these pictures and send them to your friends on Snapchat, Instagram or TikTok, where do they go? And they say, well, they'll just go to my mates on the app. No, they don't. So for the next slide here, all we did was type in teenage selfies. That's it. We didn't type in inappropriate teenage selfies, anything like that. We just typed in teenage selfies, went to images, and they're the images that we came across on a screenshot. Okay, 90% of them images are inappropriate, and I should imagine the people in them images, especially the girls scantily dressed in underwear, didn't think that them sort of images are going to be ending up on a Bing search or a Google search. But that's how apps make money. They sell the apps, they sell the images, they sell the videos on there to make money with that app. Next one's Snapchat. Most of them are just the Snapchat logo, but some of them are quite inappropriate on there. The next one is TikTok, I think, yeah. We couldn't really, there's not much inappropriate on there because TikTok is mainly dancing or inappropriate sexually suggestive dancing. So it's more inappropriate videos rather than pictures within that. The next one would, no, we got rid of that one, that's fine. So when we look at employers, we also speak to the children and say, what you are doing now in the internet and in real life will affect you when you're older, going to college, university, getting a job, things like that. And 3 out of 4 hirers now will check social media candidates before their profile, before even giving them an interview. So if I applied for a job working for Sanfo would go, right, okay, let's type Danny Minot into social media and see what he's doing. Is he appropriate to come and work for me? And then 1 in 3 are rejected at that stage before you even get an interview. So you could be the most qualified person in the world on paper, but if you are doing inappropriate things on social media or online, then you are really going to affect your future. So it's trying to get that through to the children at a young age. Unfortunately, all these people on the screen now didn't think about that. So the top left is a police officer. He sent sexualised messages to a 14-year-old girl on Snapchat. Then the man in the middle, he was arrested for drug dealing, and he said, I can't be a drug dealer because I've got no money. And then he's posting pictures of himself bathing in £20, £50 notes on Instagram and driving a Lamborghini. As you can imagine, he's spending time at His Majesty's pleasure now. Then the lady that's dressed in the nurse's outfit, she was posting inappropriate pictures whilst at work. Bottom left, was that the head teacher, Jeff? Yeah. So that was the one of the teachers from Leeds sending inappropriate messages to a pupil. The one in the middle was a head teacher again, sending inappropriate pictures and messages to a pupil. And then the one on the right, Danny Baker, can't remember if you remember Prince Harry and Meghan when they had the first child. He put that picture of a white couple leaving hospital with a monkey, talking about the prince's new firstborn son, and how we thought that were acceptable. Yeah, this is the society that we live in sometimes, okay? And rightly so, he was prosecuted and sacked, all right? But some people don't think about the things that they're posting on social media. Just stop and think, actually, is this appropriate, what I am putting on there? When I'm talking to the kids and I talk to them and say, sometimes it's okay to have a bit of a laugh or what we call banter within a private group on WhatsApp or a group of friends. But if me and Samfo had a bit of a banter with each other and some nicknames that we had, I said that into an open forum, could that be described as inappropriate? If it is, then you shouldn't be using that out there in an open profile. So Wi-Fi, these are just talking when you're at home. If you have Wi-Fi at home, which I'm sure more of you will have, try not to leave the routers on the windowsill with a password and using them on the background and on the back looking through the window, because people will be able to log on to your Wi-Fi. If you've still got the same password and username as you did when you got it originally, change it, because some of them can be found on the dark web. And public Wi-Fi, don't use it. I never use it, because if you go to places like McDonald's, Costa Coffee, and that person that's in the corner of Costa Coffee with a laptop in a suit, and you think they're doing some work, they might be doing, but a lot of people can create a hotspot, and they might call it .mcdonalds or .costa coffee. That would then put them at the top of the Wi-Fi list when you walk in there. So you might connect to it thinking that you're connecting to McDonald's or Costa Coffee Wi-Fi, when you're actually connecting to that person's personal hotspot. And then if you did some internet banking on there, they would be stealing all your bank details and credit card details and things like that. Okay, so they call it the man in the middle attack. All right, so it's just inappropriate. Most of us now have unlimited data on contracts and stuff, so don't be so tight and use some of your data. That's what I tell the wife anyway. Stop using my data. Okay, so online gaming, just some of the things can be addictive. That's one of the main issues with when I talked about Fortnite earlier on. I don't know if many people have had issues with that, but it's super, super addictive. People spending time wanting to spend money on skins and new outfits and guns and stuff like that. A risk of grooming, massively so, and exposure to inappropriate material. Unfortunately, there is a lot of inappropriate material on online gaming. Some of these games that are 16, 18 rated plus can be very, very inappropriate. Has anybody heard of a game called Minecraft? Yeah, really popular. Everybody heard of the Minecraft murder? No? So really quick background to this video. Hopefully it'll play with the sound. Brett Bednar was 14, 15 at the time, and he met somebody called Lewis Danes that was 18 on Minecraft. And over a period of 2 years, he groomed Brett. And eventually when he met up with him, he slit his throat and sexually assaulted him, killed him on the first time of raging him. And that is on a game that's rated 7 years old. Okay? But as I said before, if we are playing an online game, we are playing with anybody that's on that game, and that can be a very bad stranger. So I've just got a quick video. We might not be able to watch it all just because of the time, okay, but we'll watch some of it just about the Minecraft incident. Cheers, Jeff.
Essex Police Emergency.
Okay, hello. I need police and the forensics team to my address, please.
What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
If we didn't meet him at all, none of this would have happened and Rick would have been alive.
Hi, I'm Lewis.
Lewis was very inviting. You know, he allowed everyone on, there wasn't a password. He was a few years older than us, so he was sort of the, like, mature one that everyone looked up to. We were only 13, 14.
At the time, he was part of a $1 million company.
Made over 2 million quid in bitcoins. That's what he said, and I believed him.
Rich, independent, job in computing, travelling around the world.
Get down, okay. No, left.
I'll cover you.
I'm getting shot.
Go quicker then.
Cover me.
I am.
You could always hear before you could see. And even though he had his big, deep voice, he'd be giggling away. Teenage fun and games.
Me and Breck, we really like coding, and he would encourage us to sort of code and stuff like that.
Listen, Breck, I've got some shit news.
What?
Your friends. They, well, they said they hate you. Forget about them, Breck. They're not gonna help your future. They're just gonna stop you from doing well. And we've got that bond, Breck, and that's all that matters. Our friendship.
We tried to say to Breck, like, okay, this guy's acting really weird. This is scary, you guys need to get out.
He asked if he could go to a friend's house. I was so happy that he wanted to go and physically hang out with one of his friends instead of being on the computer that I said, okay.
It was the first day of half term. I got up fairly early because I couldn't sleep the night before. Didn't sleep so well. I went on the computer for a bit. And then Lewis came on. He said that, you know, there'd been an accident, that Breck had come round to Lewis's house, sort of depressed and suicidal.
Essex Place emergency.
And that Breck was dead.
I grabbed a knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. The fight ended with cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat.
Why would... I don't understand why he would do that. To build up the trust and friendship, and then to murder him.
Right, you've left the weapon in the hallway and have spent how long sitting in the shower?
The biggest trend at the moment, the biggest thing that we're hearing about is grooming online. And this is so hard to try and police because you don't physically know who that person is. Danes has clearly groomed him to not speak to anybody else about this. He's just not shared it with anybody.
Happy birthday, Brett. You're 16 today. This comes with love to wish you a wonderful day.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Breck.
Okay, so yeah, it's quite an impactful video and story really, but that's again a game designed for children online, but we just need to make sure that if they are talking to people online, they need to know them to talk to face in real life. And if you don't know them, they're not happy, get rid of them, because there could be anybody out there. So grooming stereotypes. Does anybody have any grooming stereotypes or what they might have heard in the media about who a groomer is? Anything? So a grooming stereotype, they're on board now, Jeff's helped you out. So it's only, some of the grooming stereotypes we come across is that it only happens to girls, it only happens to children from poor families or care homes, it's only male suspects, it's only Asian men, it's only old men, and children are safe if they are on the computer at home. All completely false, okay? Anybody can be a groomer, and all these people on the screen now have been convicted of child sexual offences, okay? So you may recognise one or maybe two of the people on there, maybe, possibly, if you like X Factor. So Philip Musto, top left, he's from Keighley. He had indecent images of children on his phone. It was reported and he was arrested and convicted of that. David Wilson, he pretended to be a 13-year-old girl on Snapchat, enticing boys to meet up with him. Gemma Watts, she did the different. She pretended to be a 13-year-old boy and got young boys and girls to send inappropriate images of themselves. Danny Tetley, he was an X Factor a few years ago. He groomed young boys, paid them money to send inappropriate pictures of themselves. Tyrell Robinson, he was a Bradford City footballer. He had sexual content with a couple of 13, 14-year-old girls. Jonathan Pulmer, he was a PCSO like me for West Yorkshire Police, and he was found to have indecent images of children on his computer and phone at home. The next one, Alex Kerr, he was a counsellor, a Wakefield counsellor, who again had sexual conversations with children online. And then Maria Black, her case was described as one of the worst the judges ever dealt with in over 30 years of being a judge. And for her first offence, she got life imprisonment. Okay, so you can only imagine how bad her offence was, and it involved young children. Okay, all them people on the board don't particularly look like a stereotypical sex offender to me. Okay, and anybody can be an online groomer or groomer in real life. So if you have a bit of an inkling something's not right, delve into it, dig a little bit deeper. Okay, and I say to the kids, it's not just that dodgy looking white bloke, old bloke in corner in park that you need to be aware of. If you think it looks like a stereotypical groomer, it can be anybody, absolutely anybody, man, woman, anybody. Okay, cheers, Jeff. So these are just a few documents to go to quickly peruse through. So the first one is attractiveness to social cues. So why games like Minecraft and Roblox are really popular for grooming, because kids are attracted to cute and cuddly things. So if I create a cute and cuddly avatar, a little teddy bear, they might say, oh, look how cute that avatar is, it must be a really nice person behind it, when actually it can be a horrible, really bad stranger. So the next one's Internet Watch Foundation, really good charity. They try and remove child abuse imagery off the internet. So if you ever unfortunately do have an incident in your families or at home where a child or grandchild, something like that, has taken indecent images, yeah, report it to us, but you can report it to them as well, and they will try and remove it from the internet as much as they can so it doesn't get shared. National Crime Agency, they're the really cool police. That's in their national priorities now for online safeguarding, not just for sexual gain but for drug activity and gang activity as well. And then the last one is your technology addiction. We've dealt with children that have been on technology for 15, 16 hours a day. Okay, I deal with some children that set alarm clocks for 4 o'clock in the morning to catch up on Fortnite on the gaming before they go to school. And then as soon as they get home from school, it's like, Mum, Dad, you alright? Boom, straight on Xbox, PlayStation, right up until bedtime, yeah? So it's just monitoring that usage, that technology addiction out there, making sure you've got them limits. I have an hour a day. Alfie, my son, has 1 hour a day on technology. That is it, okay? And then after that is, you know, reading books or playing out or whatever. But yeah, it's an hour a day. On a weekend, maximum 2 hours, but he's mainly playing rugby and sports and things like that on a weekend. And I get some people can't do that, and some people might not drive and things like that, but just try your best to try and limit that access to technology. You know what I mean? If they're going on technology for 10 hours a day, it's not great. In Bradford, we had a really good job not so long ago. 27 people are arrested for child sexual exploitation in Bradford. aged between 16 and 57. So when I say to kids, it can be other children. Yeah, a groomer can groom other children into grooming children for them. Okay, so it can be other children. Children can be bad strangers. So it's not just old adults that can be. So laws and punishments then. So really quickly. So we've got Malicious Communications Act. That's our main online bullying law. So if I sent some really nasty messages, that is more than likely the law that I would be breaking. Maximum 6 months in prison and or a fine of up to £5,000. So that carries a fine as well. Harassment Act. We use that for online bullying as well, because not all online bullying will be mean and hurtful comments. It just might be that constant text messaging, phone calls. In around year 6, 10 and 11-year-old, kids seem to think it's a really good idea to create class chats on WhatsApp, and then the aim of the game is to be the last person in the class to send a message at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Ping, 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 ping. Because some children, some parents and carers will allow the children to have the phones in the bedrooms with them at night. Big no-no. They'll say, oh, Mum, Dad, I need it for an alarm clock. Never mind, I'm getting that to Argos, I'm buying you a digital alarm clock. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm not sponsored by Argos anyway. Aldi will do, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, anywhere will do, wherever you want to go. But yeah, and a mobile phone. One of my friend's sons, very, very quickly, they had their phone outside the bedroom on charge in the wall. Yeah, that was the rule. It's on charge, but it's outside the wall, so you can still hear the alarm. Okay, just buy him an alarm clock, Dave, you know what I mean? But what they'd done is they turned the phone case over and put the charge lead in it, but they want an actual mobile phone. So it looked like the mobile phone were laid down, but it wasn't. You think they're silly, yeah, they're not very smart, these children, but believe me, they can get your way around you, definitely. And then the bottom one, that is Section 1 of the Children's Act, okay? So under 18, you are classed as a child. And no matter what age, if you took an indecent image of yourself, a naked image, or part of your body covered by your underwear, and sent it to somebody, that's the law that you would be breaking. And that's a minimum 6 months to a maximum of 10 years in prison and be placed on something called the sex register. So that's even if a child just takes a picture of themselves for them to look at, they are breaking that law. If they send it to a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they are breaking that law, even though they have give permission for that picture to be taken and sent. If you're under 18, you're as a child, and you cannot do that. Okay? I go to some 16, 17-year-old lads and lasses that think they're old enough, they're mature enough to be able to do that, but what they have just done is distribute child pornography, effectively. Okay? So it's really, really important that they understand if anybody ever asks them to take a picture of that, they need to come away and tell a trusted adult, yeah, and you guys can report it to us. If anybody ever sends them an inappropriate picture of themselves, their body, okay, and you know it's a picture, and they know it's a picture of a child, they can't show you it, all right? So they can come and tell you about it, but if they showed you it, they'd be breaking that law. I know that sounds really confusing, because all we ever do is say, tell mum and dad, okay? But if they showed you that picture, even if they don't send it in a text message, they just show you it, that's still classed as distributing that indecent image, okay? Sometimes the kids might panic and just go, Mum, Dad, look at that, yeah? If they do that, that's fine, report it, but just tell them that they told you about it. Don't tell the cop that they showed you the picture, because they might record a crime, okay? But I hadn't said that, all right? Okay, so yeah. But best thing to do, if they come and they're not too sure, that's fine, just come away, we can speak to the police, they can look at it, and we can deal with it in that situation, okay? But they shouldn't be showing you them pictures, all right? Then just some top tips to finish off. So update security software. You know, when you get them, update your software now on your laptops, computers, and you press snooze, tell me in a week, tell me in a month. Don't do that. Try and get it updated as soon as you can, because a lot of them are ways to, somebody somewhere like a hacker's maybe found a way in to get into your personal information. So just try and keep your software updated as much as possible. If you are on iPhone and you have like parental control settings on your kids' phones, every time your phone updates, just double check that them security settings are still in place, because iPhones tend to reset everything back to factory, so then all of a sudden they can download whatever they want, things like that. So just double check your security settings. Privacy settings on social media, just make sure you remember, yes, you might have a private account, but anybody can like it and share it from your friends list and copy it, screenshot it. Keep know your child's online world, massively so. If they come home and ask for a certain game, like Unico Live at the start, even if it looks child-friendly, do a little bit of research on it, make sure it's appropriate for your child. Think before you agree to any deals online. S is for secure. In the website, HTTPS usually stands for secure, and the padlock, if it's locked, it's secure. If it's open, it's an unsecure website, so be careful if you're doing internet shopping. Double check your Wi-Fi connection. McDonald's, Costa Coffee, like I said before about the man in the middle attack, just double check that connection, make sure it's a secure connection. And use PayPal and verified by Visa when you're doing online shopping, because the most secure ways of doing online shopping, you get your money back a lot quicker if there is any sort of online fraud on there. Is that okay? I really apologise for the sort of technical issues at the start, but hopefully you've all taken something away from that. On the board there is some websites that are really good. commonsensemedia.org at the bottom, that's a really good website. If you go on there and type in a name of a film, an app or a game, it will tell you everything about it on there, the age ratings and things like that. So that's a really good app on there. I believe I've got time for some questions, if anybody has any questions. Yeah? Does anybody have any questions? Sanfo's just coming back, just at the back there, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and teaching. So I want to ask, are there signs to show that your child is being groomed?
Yeah, definitely changes in behaviour, emotions, potentially more sexualised language. Yeah, they might be using inappropriate language more. They might not be wanting to talk to you as much. They could be quite snappy. Yeah, snapping back, things like answering back. If it's in real life, they could be getting gifts, new trainers, mobile phones, jewellery, money, things like that. As a parent, you know when something's wrong, generally. You've got that inkling, yeah? So just follow it, really, and chase up on it, and just make sure that it's followed. If it's an issue with the police, then report it, definitely. But there's some of the signs. Yeah.
My question is, how do you control your children's for under age, like under 10, 6 years, 5 years? How do you get to know the content of the cartoons they're watching? Because I got to know that there are some cartoons that teach them maybe to revenge, to do nasty things. So how do you they just get the phone, they keep pressing from one cartoon to the other.
Yeah.
So how do you control what they...
Yeah, sure, yeah. So there's loads of different ways you can use parental control settings on phones, iPads, things like that. So it only shows appropriate content. But a lot of the inappropriate stuff you might find on YouTube. So Kids YouTube is a really good app to use that sort of filters out a lot of the inappropriate nature. But just watch it first, have a look at it and watch it, see what you think. It's like my daughter loves Peppa Pig, okay? But I don't know if you ever noticed on Peppa Pig, any time George doesn't get his way, he just starts crying and crying and crying and crying until he gets his way. And that can be a learnt behaviour for my daughter, yeah? So I'm very, very careful about what she does watch. But it's sort of everybody's different preference, really. But yeah, there's loads of different parental control settings that you can put on your phone to limit age ratings and things like that. But Kids YouTube is really good for kids on there if you just want them to have half an hour on an iPad, something like that. Is that okay? Hi.
Thank you for the teaching. Some of us are in groups, like university groups or school groups, and you have other colleagues from different countries like America, Canada, Nigeria. Sometimes they send some pictures through, and you just delete them. Maybe you feel it's inappropriate. What is the implication of that if you just delete it? Whether you open it or you don't open it,
yeah.
What's the implication?
Sure, no, that's fine. I come up with that quite a bit in the kids' sessions that I do, because if they just delete it, it's fine to delete it, not a problem. If you see the image and you know it's an inappropriate picture of a child or a video of a child, there's no problem with you deleting it, but I would also report it just to cover your back. Because if you're in a chat group in WhatsApp, for example, this happened to me. I coach rugby, and one of my parents' sons put an inappropriate picture of himself accidentally, not on purpose, and he asked it to be deleted from the group, which we did, but I also reported it as well, because a lot of people know what I do for a job. So if I didn't report it and delete it, and then somebody else in that group reported it and said, oh, Danny knows about that, and I didn't report it, then I can get into trouble with my job. So if you don't know about, if you don't watch the video, if you just delete it, it's fine. But if it's anything to do with children, and you see the video or picture, then make sure you report it. You can delete it, but make sure you report it. All right.
Thank you very much. Another one close to that, like, have you tried harassment in the past? Probably one of those slangs and ugly words probably was used for your child, and your child came home, mentioned it, now Googled it, got the meaning. Would you escalate it up to the police or just report to the school authority?
Yeah, so if you're ever unsure, speak to the school. If it's something inappropriate in school, if it's something that they want to deal with, they can do. And if they think it's something they should report to the police, they will do as well. But if you're never 100% sure, just contact us. Yeah, online, 101, non-emergency, something like that. If you're not too sure about something, contact us. It's always better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? Not a problem. But sometimes within the school setting, they can deal with it in school as well. Just depends what it is. So, okay.
Thank you very much. I think I want to add to what she asked. There was a time that there was this video that was trending from Nigeria of a 12-year-old girl in a secondary school that was everywhere. Are you trying to say when such, because it was everywhere and it was almost like childhood pornography. So if such a thing is sent to you, are you trying to say we should report it to the Bradford police?
So this is it. When it's shared thousands of times, are we going to want to be phoned 10,000 times that day about the same video? So it's your personal preference, really. If you think you need to report it, report it. If you think just deleting it is fine, then just do that. That's also fine as well. But for me, for my job, because I've got a criminal background check, DBS, enhanced DBS check, I always report everything just to cover my back with my job. But yeah, if you're not too sure, just report it. But again, we do sometimes get calls about a certain video, and that might be 100 times in a day. So then it's like, oh God, not again. But yeah, it's just your personal preference. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so it's just the lady. Is that all right first? Sorry.
All right, thank you. All right, in a case whereby there's bullying in school, the school environment, and a child comes home and talks about it and says there's no punishment to the person in him or her, what do we do? Because the school just says, at times might tell you that's not really bullying, but you know it's affecting the child gradually, psychologically, and it's going to impact on the child in the long run. So it keeps happening. Someone is saying some inappropriate things to a child. Maybe child to child this time, might be an older child in the school. Is this one of the things we should report to you if the school is not handling it well enough?
Yeah, so sometimes the school might try and cut some corners potentially, or not treat it as serious as it could be treated. So yeah, take it up with the school, definitely. If you're not getting any sort of problems there, take it with the governors, the governors in school, because they're there to make sure that the school are dealing with things properly. If it's affecting kids outside of school and you think, oh, maybe a chat from the local PCSO, Danny, might go down really well and stop it, then by all means you contact us, 101 non-emergency number, yeah, and we can go around and speak to the children involved, or we can do a talk in school and deal with it that way. So sometimes coming from it at different angles works really well. But yeah, if you're not happy with how the school's dealing with it, speak to the governors at the school, and if you're not happy with how they're dealing with it, speak to Ofsted, yeah, and they'll give them a kick up the bum. Yeah. Just the lady at the front here, sorry.
Said that going to schools, you go to all the schools because
Bradford.
Yes.
In Bradford primary schools, yeah.
All okay.
Yeah.
What do you say to the kids? Because some of them they won't open up to you. So how would you get across to them to tell them that you said when you did, you're a police officer, then DBS, the enhanced DBS. You understand? This enhanced DBS, I got to know about it, where they will check into your background, your family background, where you come from, that kind of thing. Creating awareness for the kids so that they won't destroy their lives. There is a particular child which I don't know. He can't open a bank account.
now, the rest of his life, because of this situation. Because he didn't know when he got into it, but he's gone so deep into it, he can't go to school, he can't do anything. His life is destroyed completely, you know.
Yeah.
But how do you create this awareness in these young kids? You know, if you're going to Bradford, all the other councils in the United Kingdom do the same thing for everybody?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of a thing, because this is our future.
Yeah.
We are going, and another generation is coming. So what do we hand over to these young, vulnerable kids? We help them.
Okay. Yes, so we're going to Bradford primary schools. We start in year 3. It's very, very difficult sometimes if I'm stood at the front of a class and there's 30 kids, knowing that all 30 of them kids are listening, okay? Or, because we live in a very diverse community, some of the kids might come from different countries where the police are not trusted at all. It's like, do not talk to the police are corrupt, things like that. So breaking down them barriers can be very difficult, okay? But because we go in the same school from year 3 to year 6, you sort of try and build that relationship with the kids before they leave primary school. And a lot of the parents or a lot of the teachers will say to me, oh, Danny, can you just have a chat with little Jeff? Because he's not had a very good experience with the police, or he just needs that extra little help, because we do one-to-one things at homes and stuff as well. But it is a very difficult barrier to break down. It really is. Yeah, right, so far.
Do you have a few minutes after, because we're thinking because of our time,
yeah,
stop, and then after the service, maybe speak to you and have a chat?
Yeah,
okay?
No problem, yeah.
Right. So please bear with us just because of our time, because we know we can keep going and on and on. But afterwards, Danny will just have a few minutes, then people can ask him more questions.
Sorry.
Okay?
Thank
Can
you.
we give him a round of applause?
Cheers, thank you.